Yeah, happy new month. Good to be with you again on Summit. Thank God it's a new month, and thank God for bringing us to the end to see the last month in the year 2019. I am Jumoke Michaels. Banji, good morning and happy new month.
Yeah, Jumoke, thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's your weekend?
Fine.
Jumoke, yesterday was World AIDS Day. 1st of December every year is usually dedicated to creating awareness, celebrating and marking the World AIDS Day globally. And for us in this country, the awareness is increasing, but we are not there yet. Yeah. Not too many people are aware. They need to check their status to know what they actually are, I mean, whether they are healthy or whether they are free of HIV and all that. So the awareness has to continue. So yesterday was a reminder for those of us or many Nigerians who have never gone for any check or any test to determine their status. Again, 2 days ago was the Kogi West supplementary elections, and Senator Smart Adiemi actually carried the day, and the SY Senator Dino Melai lost out. But he said he would challenge the result at the tribunal.
Yeah,
so
but
let's wait.
Another interesting thing he also said was that it's better for him to lose election than to lose his life. Yeah, because he said that there's been so many attempts.
He said allegedly said there have been several attempts on his life. Well, it's neither here nor there. These things never came to the fore before the elections. Why are they coming up now?
All right, so we thank God for at least the election has come and gone. And that's done with Kogi State. So we can have a breather. All right, so but today on the program, we are talking about, we are looking at the education terrain, and we're looking at the IPPS issue between ASU and the federal government. The IPPS, I know that not too many people are really familiar with this issue. That's the Information Technology Integrated Payroll and Personal Information System designed to curb payroll fraud in Nigerian universities. Now that's talking about the new salary payment platform created by the federal government, with which all federal universities, academic staff and non-academic staff are supposed to now receive their salaries monthly. And but it's not a new scheme. Really.
Yes, unknown to Nigeria. Many Nigerians thought it's a new concept or a new initiative of this administration. No, it's actually, it dates back to the administration of a former president Olusegun Obasanjo. But of course, as far back as maybe 1999. But it never saw the light, or it's never gotten the cooperation of the university system or the ASU, so to be specific, because of their own version of or their perception of the IPPS, that it would disrupt the university system. That's what they are actually hanging on to, and that's why even as the IPPS enters the second week today, registration, we are not sure any ASU member has registered nationwide.
I heard that a University of Calabar, the VC of the University of Calabar was actually coercing members of staff to actually register, and I guess that some of them have already done this registration. Complied, yes. But aside that university
is under duress,
duress, yes, forcefully, threatening them to go ahead and do the registration. But aside from that, I really don't know whether there's
the level of success of whether government has succeeded in making us a key into that program or not. Maybe we'll get to know more.
We'll get to know more about this issue, because it's actually a very, very hot issue right now, because the federal government and ASU are actually digging it out now.
Daggers drawn.
Yeah, dagger drawn now, because ASU has taken a stand and federal government has also taken a stand. Yeah, that
it will stop salaries.
Don't go.
Stop salaries.
No salary. But ASU is saying, well, they are going on with their stand against the initiative. So that's what we are discussing this morning, and we have someone who's very apt, who's going to be discussing this issue with us. But before we go to the issue of the IPPS, we're going to once again take a look at the brief excerpt from the achievements of the Ojokoro LCDA chairman, Honorable Ahmed Tijani. And today we are going to be seeing his achievements in the area of
poverty alleviation and skill acquisition schemes.
All right, so that's what we're going to be looking at this morning briefly before we return back to the studio to take our discussion. So please stay with us, we'll be right back. In order to reduce poverty level among the people of Ojokoro LCDA, Honorable Ahmedidowu Tijani has organized several skill acquisition programs and poverty alleviation schemes since assumption of office about 2 years ago. The beneficiaries cut across the women to the youth, the aged, and other critical stakeholders. The empowerment programs include provision of tools for various trades, such as sewing machines, dryers, barbing tools, and sometimes cash aimed at boosting business enterprises.
We are looking for the way to eradicate, eliminate what we call the poverty in our society. And an idle hand is the workshop for but what we're trying to do in that area is the Department of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation has always been having trainings, vocational trainings for our people, particularly the youth and the women, at every quarter of the year. And we don't stop at this. At least on 2 occasions, when we train people, we give to them the items needed for their operation. We have done this at least twice, and we still want to improve on this area, because we cannot just be training people without giving them what they need to work with. So also the Agri department has always been on top of situation training with the youth. The National Youth Council of Nigeria, Ojokoro chapters, we have always organized one program or the other in this regard, just to make sure that we take them away from the streets. And just of recent, the Agri department came up with a program that we want to acquire as much as 100 acres of land somewhere in Ogun State, to make sure that to encourage those of them that wants to take up the farming as a job, so that they can have where they can do their job. We want to, as soon as we're able to complete this program, the department will be allocating to people. If you make good use of it, you come, even we can increase it for you. But if you don't make good use of it, after 3 years, the department will revoke whatever they have given to you. It's not going to be, we are not selling. It's something that it will leave for them to use for that period. I believe with that, it will make us to be self-sufficient in terms of food production in this country, and it will take many of our youth away from the streets. Still on this area, the education department as well has always been on ground to do the training for some people, and in which they did one graduation sometimes early this year. So, and that one is always longer because of the vocation that it involves, like tailoring and what have you. It will take more than the work of saying within 1 week or 1 month. So that we have been able to do all this one. And there's also just of recent, an NGO came up that we need to set up what we call a job center, and we are working in conjunction with that NGO to make sure that we actualize a vocational center that we are trying to put up in Ulera housing estate, so that there they will, in partnering with the local government, they will train our youth, where from there, for instance, if you need a builder to build your house, you can quickly go there and get somebody that will do your work in line with the rules of the safety rules and every other rules that guided that. And not only that, that particular center can be held responsible for any wrongdoing in your building. If you want, for instance, if I need an electrician in my house, I can quickly call the job center and they will come and do it for me. Then later in the day, if there's anything go wrong, or if it is okay, I'll applaud them. If there's anything go wrong, from there, the senior ones will come and make sure that they give me exactly what I'm expected. So these are part of the things that we have been able to do in the area of poverty alleviation and the capacity building. The challenge that we have in this area, one, we need a bigger place, and that's why we have written to the Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. They do it for others, for other local government. At least we have one at Egbeda. I know that of Ikorodu. So I will appreciate it if the Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation can come to our aid by helping us to construct that particular place, and if possible to equip it for us.
All right, welcome back. Just to add a little to that, to let you know that trainings, skill acquisition trainings and activities are still ongoing at Ojokoro LCDA. It's an unstopping activity. So that's just to add to that. All right, we'll go into our discussion now, and we're looking at the introduction of IPPS. What's next? That's the topic for the discussion. And we have joining us Dr. Dele Ashiru, is the chairman, ASU, University of Lagos branch. You're welcome, sir. Good to have you join us.
Pleasure, sir. For me, it's an opportunity to be educated, particularly on this IPPI. It looks for me, it looks like a strange concept, something new from the blues. What does IPPIS? What does it mean? What do you understand by it, sir?
Well, IPPIS is Integrated Personnel and Payroll System, which is a policy, one of the World Bank IMF policies on reform, introduced under, the regime of President Olusegun Obasanjo.
Former president.
Yes, Olusegun Obasanjo. And ever since, they've tried to put MDAs, that's ministries, departments and agencies of government, on that personnel system. The argument is that it is intended to curb corruption and also eliminate ghost workers in the civil service, etc. Now, for us in ASU, we have made it abundantly clear to government that universities are universal communities, and consequently cannot be lumped up with government ministries, agencies, and departments. Indeed, by the nature of what universities do, it's surprising, it's shocking that this government is trying to lump them, with ministries, departments, and agencies. Universities are supposed to be autonomous institutions that are saddled, with the business of knowledge production and its dissemination. If you bring them under government ministries, certainly you are preventing them from being able, to achieve that goal. And I've always said it, and I'd like to repeat it here. Nigerians must understand that no society can rise above the level of its educational attainment. If you look at societies that are making progress today, there are societies that have taken their education very seriously, and they are still investing tremendously in the education sector. Here in Nigeria is a question of neglect and also the bureaucratization of the process. And as a union of intellectuals who have always stood, for the development of public universities in Nigeria, we are opposed, to bringing our colleagues under this very devilish platform.
However, when you think about the government's explanation of this initiative, it's supposed to solve problems of ghost workers and even also save the country billions of naira by getting rid of living ghosts, those who are living but still collect salaries that do not belong to them, that they take home month after month. And federal government has also said that this scheme actually between 2016 and 2018 saved them about 208 billion naira.
Where's the money?
Okay, let's forget about where's the money.
No. You see, we cannot, excuse me.
Okay.
You see, Nigerians must learn to take government to task and not just believe hook, line, and sinker what government say. If you say you have saved 208 billion, according to you, where is the money? If you say you have been able to identify ghost workers in the system, where are they? Are they in jail? Are they being celebrated? Nigerians need
no, not necessarily within the university system.
No,
government has been able to save the money from the MDAs.
Yes, I understand. I'm saying that government should come clean. Let us know who those ghost workers are. Somebody put ghost workers on payroll. What has been done to them? If we are not able to resolve all of this, how are we sure that we are just not centralizing the processes of putting ghost worker on the IPPS? And all of these stories that we are being told about IPPS don't add up. Even the report of World Bank about Nigeria's implementation of the IPPS is scoring Nigeria less than 50. I give you an example. You know that when government implements policies in Nigeria, it is always implemented in breach. Let me first give you an example. We were told that government wants to make our economy cashless. But that's the same argument. There will be efficiency in the system. There will be the little cash flowing around and all that. Today, if you want to do cashless, you want to buy fuel in the filling station, you will be asked to pay 50 naira. And that's the starting point. Nobody knows where it's going to end. I can go on and making examples of government policies that are deliberately, implemented to inflict suffering on Nigerians. Now, let me be specific about IPPS. IPPS is by design supposed to have two modules: the human resource module and the payroll module. This was creatively designed to ensure that no single agency of government will have control over human resource and money. And the payroll is not even expected. The payroll is not supposed to be the one enrolling. Now, because of the fraudulent nature in which the program is being implemented, only in Nigeria is the two modules lumped up together in the Accountant General's office. What that simply means is that you are centralizing the processes of corruption, because only you will enroll, only you will pay. You pay what you have enrolled. So you can see that. And that report I cited, the World Bank report, told us that there is about 29% divergence between what is on the human resource module and the payroll module. So what we are saying is that the argument about saving money, about curbing corruption, don't really hold water, because what government is simply doing is centralizing corruption in the Accountant General's office. Not only that, go and ask anybody who has got anything to do with IPPS. None of them would have anything good to say about that policy. The only problem in Nigeria is that the courage to challenge government seems to be waning. And we also have this unspoken belief that once government says something, everybody must know. This is a democratic system of government where government policies should be debated, should be discussed, and if any section of the country is raising objection to any government policy, what is appropriate, what is civilized, is to come to the table and say, look, what are the issues? And then when you look at the issues, you find an amicable resolution to it, not this brigandage, not this forceful enrollment.
But who are the stakeholders that the Accountant General actually held meetings with? Because we know, we are told, or we read in the news rather, that there have been several meetings with some stakeholders.
That is correct.
Yes.
The stakeholders are all the unions in the university system, including vice chancellors and all that. At that stakeholders meeting, you see, one thing we need to know is that it is in our union that you have all the experts in all the fields. At the stakeholders meeting, the vice chancellor of the University of Jos, who himself is a computer expert, raised a few questions with the consultants. They were unable to answer. And we are even beginning to know why they are unable to answer, because even the payroll system that they are talking about is not a creation of Nigeria. The owners are in the US. They have configured it. If you need them to reconfigure it, you have to pay at exorbitant prices. So all the peculiarities of the university system that we have raised, none of them, not a single one, have been captured under the IPPS. Even though government continues to say that the peculiarities have been captured and all that. And we are saying, bring what you have done to the public clear. Come and show us how you have captured it. If we see all of that, I mean, what the heck? But what we're also saying is that to put universities under that system is also to erode the university of its autonomy. People have said that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. That argument is puerile.
Will that cripple unions, the university union?
No, it's really not about union. It's about the survival of the university system.
No.
There's no way they can, they can't cripple union. But we are saying that we as a union of intellectuals will not sit back and allow government to implement policies that will erode public universities of its rights, of its autonomy, etc.
Now, in your intro, you actually said this is not a new concept. It was actually introduced by the administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. So in the last 4, you've actually resisted, your unions have resisted this concept, this initiative. In the administration of 4 different administrations, from President Olusegun Obasanjo to Yaradua, to Jonathan, and now to President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, what is it that you people are offering in the alternative to this system? You said, because even in your presentation you said, giving all the roles, the dual module to the Accountant General is like centralizing corruption. So what option, what alternative would you have actually preferred to find a lasting solution? Because we are aware that even the university system is not immune to these corruption cases that were, ghost workers, people working like 5 places, but taking salaries in 5 universities. Are you saying the university system is immune to it? Or how have you been able to checkmate some of these excesses on your own?
Your questions are well loaded. Let me try to unload them one after the other.
Good.
The first one to answer is that no lecturer can work in 5 places. That's government propaganda. And if they know of any lecturer, let them bring him out and prosecute the person. This is a public space. But you see, part of the problem of the Nigerian university system is that, and as government is aware, we have less than 40,000 lecturers in the whole of Nigerian universities. In some areas, in some discipline, you have only about 1 or 2 experts. Now, because of the fact that those departments must run in areas where they have been accredited, lecturers can work as adjunct, can work as visiting lecturers, and these are done all over the world. So, and if people go to do such job, they deserve to be paid. And we are saying that, okay, if you don't want that, train people. As I sit down here, government pays me what they call excess workload. The meaning of excess workload is because there isn't enough lecturers to teach people. I hope you can see how deep the problem is. Now, concerning the question of resistance, it is not that we have resisted. It is because we have had governments that seems to be less fascist like these ones are. When Obasanjo introduced the system, we took them to task. These are the issues. They promised that they were going to answer to the queries that we have raised. They never did. Even now, what we are saying is respond to our queries. Because they have not been able to respond, ASU has offered to develop a payroll system for the university system that would take care of all these peculiarities and would also do in a better form all the argument about ghost worker, corruption and all that will also be monitored by the relevant government agencies. Now, talking about ghost workers, we have challenged government to say that in all of the audits that you do in our universities, if you find ghost workers or people who pad, their pay, their personnel register with ghost workers, sanction them. If you just continue to say you are fighting corruption, you are seeing ghost worker, you are doing this one, save money, and you are not sanctioning anybody, you are not bringing anybody to the books, it means that what you are taking away from here, you are returning from the back door. And our union have challenged government severally that these and these and these are university administrators who are allegedly corrupt. Try them. Up to today, none of them. Because this corruption we are talking about is also in cahoot with other levels of government. So how do you fight yourself? As we speak in Nigeria, we hear about budget padding. We hear about all kinds of padding. What has happened? Nobody has been tried. Those who are in court, after a very short while, they will be let loose. Even now, I don't know whether what I read in the papers, yesterday was correct. That government is withdrawing charges against this. So, a government who is approbating and reprobating on corruption certainly cannot tell us that the intention of all of this is to fight corruption. No.
But you seem to be at daggers drawn with your employers, and that could be very, very threatening, to your jobs. The federal government has actually come out to say any lecturer or any lecturer that's on his payroll in the federal, that is not, it's not cooperating or registering for this IPPS, risk losing his job or her job. But this is the second week running, and it's going to end this week. How far do you think
our members, we have told our members not to enroll on IPPS.
University of Calabar?
Like I heard you saying that they are being coerced to. Who does that in a democratic system of government? If a policy is popular, why do you coerce people to do it? You know, and that also tells you the kind of people who are ruling this country and the kind of democracy that we are running. Democracy is about dialogue. It's about accountability. It's about consensus. It's about listening to the people that you are leading. If this is the kind of democracy that we are playing in Nigeria, so be it. But be rest assured that, yes, government is our employer, but it has vested that role in respective governing councils of respective universities by law. The law establishing the University of Lagos clearly states that my employer is my university governing council. So the governing council can go and discuss with government about how they want to monitor, you know, personnel, emolument, pay, and all that in the University of Lagos. But for an accountant general to sit down in his office in Abuja and want to be vice chancellor general of all Nigerian universities, that is impossible. Our union will not agree.
What's the challenge with that, really? And then talking about the disrupting the university hierarchy and system. Could you further enlighten us on that? What
you know, the challenge.
Or do you think that role is in contention with the governing council's role?
Yeah, the first is that, yes, that role is in conflict with the roles of the university governing council as stipulated by law. That is one. Number two, by centralizing payroll, it means that even if you want to employ an assistant lecturer in Unilag or in Unical or in Kashari, you have to go to see the accountant general or write to the head of service. To do that is to destroy the university system. Because you see, the fluidity, the flexibility of on the spot, mounting new programs to respond to social challenges, attracting people from all over the world. To implement IPPS is to localize Nigerian universities. Because only 2 weeks ago, that we had a visiting professor in Unilag in my department from the University of Vienna who wanted to come share ideas and experiences with our students here in Nigeria. If we have to follow the bureaucracy to go to Abuja to collect paper, collect approval, collect this one, it would not have been possible for him to come. Even in neighboring countries in Africa where IPPS has been implemented or something close to it, universities are exempted. So, and when we say this, they say government, as long as government is funding, yes, government must fund because it is the business of government to educate its people. It is the business of government to educate its people. And in those places where they cite examples, who funds the university? Individuals, corporate organizations who have made money and all that. In Nigeria, those who have money here, allegedly stolen from government, where are they keeping the money? Inside septic tank. And corporate organizations, where are they? And that is why even researches in Nigeria are dictated from outside, which clearly shows that our government is really not serious about educating its people. And then you talk about development. How do you develop when you have a bunch of miseducated or ill-educated populace? And I need to add that what we still have as public universities in Nigeria today is on account of ASU's insistence that government must live up to its responsibility of educating its people. Today they say government cannot do anything alone, cannot do road alone, can't do electricity alone, can't do water alone, can't do education alone. So why do we have government? Only to sit down in Aso Rock and travel all over the world.
Now, but then you know that government said, despite your resistance and all that, despite ASU's resistance, your members are registered.
This is not the...
That's what Jumoke just told us. Now, is that not breaking your ranks?
No.
And would you still be able to, at the end of the day, be able to say you have one union?
We have a union. If people are being coerced to register, it means that even in law, whatever you do under duress is null and void. So if you coerce people to register, and it's not out of their own volition, yeah, you can do the registration, but only those that are registered cannot run the university system. So,
but you would have been out of job.
No, they can't sack anybody because they didn't register on the payroll. The law does not allow that.
You work without your salaries.
That's the threat.
The threat is that they are not going to pay salaries.
So if you are not paid salary,
there are two different things. Let us disaggregate it.
Okay.
Not paid salary does not mean that you are sacked.
Fine.
And our job is unlike jobs on the streets. Where are you going to get a professor of neurology if you sack the one that is there now? Or where are you going to get PhD holders to teach in the university if you say it's even a show of shame for government to say the kind of thing that they are saying? However, we are not bothered about whether you will sack us or you will not pay. This is not the first time they are not paying lecturers in Nigerian universities, and we have survived it. We will survive this one. So we are not bothered about whether there's a threat of paying or no. How much are they paying us that they are even doing younger?
All right, but does this scheme, this IPPIS scheme, actually have as part of its gains the issue that lecturers are entitled to some form of extra payments, like you said, extra hour
overload,
payments,
work overload,
visiting another university?
These are as we speak is not, and those are part of the issues that we're raising. And also, you can do your own independent investigation. You find out that people who have been enrolled on IPPIS, none of them have anything good to say about IPPIS. It's just that they may not have the courage for fear of not being paid salary. And those, if for any reason you miss your salary on IPPIS, you have to go to Abuja
to rectify it, and
it's at your own cost. You will stay there for as long as the problem is rectified. And we are told, you move from one table to the other, you have to bribe your way. Is that what they want lecturers all over the country to be going through? Only recently, some police officers from Akwa Ibom and all that protested to the president about the irregularities in their salaries on account of IPPIS. It's in the papers. Nobody, if you are enrolled on IPPIS, you are not sure of what you are going to be paid in any month. It's what you get.
What?
Yes, because of, the erratic nature of the platform. You can get salary of a junior officer, you can get that. Even if you read our paid advertorial last Monday, we cited instances there, and we stand to be challenged, where even in the IPPIS office, people were being fraudulently enrolled on the platform, and they are on trial for those corrupt activities. So we are saying that one of the problems in Nigeria is over centralization, and that powers should be devolved, to people with checks, at each level. But rather than do that, what we are seeing is increasing centralization, which our union is against.
How far have you actually...
Let me just read this message. Please, people are calling, but like we do on this program, is our tradition that we only take SMS. Please just send us a message and we will read out your contribution on the program. Please just send a message. Now we have this message today from Ikorodu. Says, what do you expect? If they have their children in our indigenous universities, we won't be in this problem. Ask yourself, what is the budget for education? That's today for Ikorodu. Please send us an SMS, we'll read your message. Don't bother to call because we cannot pick your call. Thank you.
Now, in the course of the discussion, you said you have actually come up, you've developed your own alternative IPPIS. How far have you gone in consultation with
I think even the Senate is expecting
yes, we met with the Senate President, and we made it clear to the Senate President, that our union is capable of developing something similar to IPPS, which will help government follow up,
to track those this.
Yes, whatever it is they want to track, track it. A crack team is already working on it. They were to meet with the Senate President, I think, last week or the week before, but that meeting could not hold because the Senate President was unavoidably absent. He was said to be very busy. So we hope that in the coming week, we'll be able to test run the program. And unlike the IPPS, we can do a public presentation of it. Let it be domiciled wherever, but let it take care of all those peculiarities: university autonomy, sabbatical leave, visiting lectureship, adjunct, and all that. Once that is done, what we expected from government is to sit down. See,
why did it take this long? I mean, you're talking of almost 20 years since this was introduced. If you had come up with the alternative plan, would it have been this bad?
No, you see, the point is that it is the approach of government that will determine your response. If you have a government that is listening, for example, under previous administration, each time they raise this matter and we explain, they give an impression that the thing will be put on hold until they find, a solution. But it's clear with the brigandage of this government that they neither have a solution nor are they willing to engage in a dialogue. What they understand is brute force. You do this or you don't get paid for a job that I have done.
So what do you what we said in we said what next? Now that we've come to this this stage, impasse here. Thank you for
what is often done in civilized societies. Conflicts are part and parcel of day-to-day life. In societies where you find everybody sleep and put their head in one straight place, it means that society is not dynamic, it's not functional. Now, when you have a government policy and a section of the society says, look, this thing can be better done, I think that what government should do is come back to the table. Let's sit down. Okay, we are unable to admit they are failing. We know that they can't do it because the program is not original to them, and they cannot tell the original owners of the program to configure it to suit their own purpose. No, they cannot. So they admit they are failing. They say, okay, bring your own, we bring our own. They look at it, then they put all the necessary machinery in process, and if it's acceptable to them, they accept it. If they still feel that there are areas that we can modify, they put their suggestions forward. We tell those who are working on it. In fact, what we expected from government is to bring their experts. Let us sit down with our own experts, and for once produce a homegrown,
exactly, that's where I want to go, something local
that we can all be proud of, that is indigenous. But rather than do that is bring back you do this or you don't do that, all this muscle flexing, which will not go to anywhere.
I'm talking about
intellectuals are not to be intimidated because of salary. What is salary?
So
I'm talking even about a scheme that is 20 years old, since time of former President Obasanjo till now. Wouldn't it have been obsolete?
They will not accept, they will not tell you that. But certainly it cannot respond to challenges as they move, because it's a platform that has been configured, and the owners will not give you the necessary information to be able to alter it, because to do that is to take away their own their own right, and their sources of income and livelihood. Not only IPPS, TSA, e-tax, e-payment, all of these programs are foreign based. And your data is so vulnerable because, if they get all lecturers enrolled on IPPIS today, the American government and the company that owns IPPIS can, by a click of button, know where I am. Well, including my BVN that is supposed to be. Government itself told us that BVN is private to me. In this enrollment, they're asking me to bring my BVN in today's Nigeria. You think about it.
But some of your colleagues who are helpless in those universities where they've been coerced supposedly now, allegedly, to register for this? How well protected are they? Though you may not be sure, would you be able to speak for the national president of us?
No, I am a member of the National Executive Council of National Executive Council, and that's the highest decision-making organ of our union. We'll be meeting, in due course to review all of these issues, and I think that we also have opinion about what goes on in other universities. So the point that we are making is that our union will not forsake its members. Okay. When we meet at our National Executive Council meeting and we get reports that people are being coerced, our union will take appropriate steps to liberate such and attend to such situation. So that is expected.
But even before now, I mean, without necessarily putting words in your mouth, if you did not believe it and it seemed as if that was what the government wanted, was it not also possible for you to have actually stopped it by legal action?
Well, no option has been ruled out, and it is the prerogative of our union to determine, what processes or what type of resistance we are going to put up to any government policy.
All right, so please, let's say your final word on this.
Well, my final word is to say that those who rule us in Nigeria should understand that we are no longer in a military dictatorship. This is a democracy, and democracy thrives on consensus, on dialogue, on, teamwork. If any section of the society is kicking against a government policy, such groups should not be seen as dissidents. They should be heard. Government should sit down with them and look for an amicable resolution to the crisis. This idea of do this, take this, or leave it will not work in a democratic system, let alone the academia.
We sincerely have to thank you, Dr. Dele Ashiru, ASU Chairman, Unilag chapter. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been quite educating for me too.
Thank you.
So that's been our show today. My name is Banji Busari. See you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
And I'm Jumoke Michael. See you again. Bye.
Ho, ho, ho. It's the MITV and Star FM Christmas